Hello everybody, this is Amy from Chateau de Rosieres. Now in the last few videos we've been catching you up on what happened here last autumn in 2024 in the lead up to our incredible concert. We left you in the last video just before the concert where we'd, against all odds, managed to get there. We were ready. I was in the concert hall in my beautiful blue dress waiting for the audience. I was with the musicians. There was no audience. What could have gone wrong? There was a minor problem earlier where the parking was waterlogged. So we had, with our friends, our plumber for a start, had to direct all of the cars to park on the lawns of the chateau and just about managed to get them in. So I knew that Stefan was helping people to park in the gardens. What I didn't know was that further down the driveway, somebody had driven into a ditch and they had held everybody else up. And Marc had been told about this and had rushed off in our four-wheel drive off-road vehicle to tow them. But they didn't have a tow hook on their car. So it was some old vehicle. And so everybody else was stacking up behind them. And me and the musicians were in the concert hall going, why did nobody come to our concert? Because we'd sold out. So there was this fairly frantic 15 minutes of deep despair on my part and total frenetic activity on Marc's part. Finally, he managed to pull them out. I can't even remember how he did it. And everybody arrived in one full rush and it was freezing. But luckily they'd all come very well dressed and we'd given some well-placed hot water bottles to the musicians. And in this, our last video of this series, we're going to show you what happened in the concert. Please take a seat, make yourself a cup of tea or coffee, because the music you're going to hear is just beautiful.
Merci d'être venus si nombreux pour ce premier concert qu'on fait à Rosieres. On est vraiment heureux que vous soyez venus aussi nombreux. On a la chance d'accueillir aujourd'hui un groupe de musiciens vraiment de classe internationale qui nous viennent du Royaume-Uni et qui vont jouer pour nous ce beau concert. Alors, on a été très attristés au Château de Rosieres cette semaine par le décès de Michel Bergeron, qui travaillait régulièrement ici depuis les années 70. Donc, ça a été vraiment un gros coup dur pour nous. Donc, nous dédions ce concert en son honneur.
For details of the musicians and the music in this concert, please look in the description of this video where I've linked to the page on our website with full details. And to hear more of the music from this concert, join us on Patreon.
Plus habitué de jouer dans les grandes salles de concert du monde, Versailles, il y a 10 semaines, ils ont joué dans le Royal Albert Hall à Londres, et maintenant dans notre camp. Pourquoi? C'est parce que Nettie, elle aime bien les poules. Elle a regardé notre émission de télé et notre chaîne YouTube, elle a devenu très attachée et donc elle est venue avec ses amis pour un anniversaire l'année dernière pour une visite et on a discuté un peu, on a pensé, on a discuté pendant 1 an de faire un concert ici dans notre range et elle a eu la confiance à nous parce que quand elle est venue, le grange était bien rempli avec les armoires, avec les choses, les machines, des choses comme ça. Mais ça a bien marché, je crois.
I mean, tell them that this is much nicer to play than the Albert Hall.
Oh, c'est beaucoup mieux que la Royal Albert Hall.
Il y a des personnes qui m'ont posé des questions sur la peinture que vous avez derrière nous. Donc, il se présente le château de Rosieres, mais pas tel qu'on l'a maintenant. C'est une reconstitution de ce qu'on pense à quoi il devait ressembler au XVIIe siècle. Parce que c'est un château qui a eu une histoire très mouvementée, qui a été construit probablement avant le XIVe siècle. On a des traces de son histoire qui remontent à 1301. Il a probablement été détruit pendant la guerre de 100 ans, reconstruit après au XVe siècle dans l'état où il est plus ou moins maintenant, en grande partie. Mais au XVe siècle, il devait ressembler plus à ça qu'à une tour rectangulaire. Ça devait être un gros donjon carré, probablement avec des petites poivrières dans les angles, comme au château de Chateau, par le boss que vous connaissez, et avec une tour latérale qui était à l'époque séparée, par lequel on devait avoir l'entrée. Donc cette fresque n'est sans doute pas exacte, mais c'est l'état actuel des connaissances archéologiques du château. Donc je veux remercier Michel Schwager qui est ici présent. Il nous a fait cette magnifique fresque en un temps record.
2 jours.
Voilà. Voilà, donc on l'a vendu juste avant que vous arriviez. Il a passé une bonne partie de la nuit dernière dessus.
Et ce concert-là, on espère que c'est le début d'une future musicale de Rosieres.
Voilà. On espère que ce n'est pas le dernier et que les musiciens seront assez contents pour revenir.
Le prochain c'est un essai pour nous aussi. Et juste avant la deuxième partie, on a parlé un tout petit peu de Michel qui a décédé lundi. Et
de notre vie ici. Je pense qu'il y a personne qui a fait plus pour le château de Rosieres dans l'histoire du château. Elle a habité dans la petite maison ici attachée pendant les années 60, juste derrière, pendant les années 60 et 79, 70. Et c'est par exemple, on a laissé c'est quoi
Ah
ça?
oui, donc ce que vous voyez sur le côté là, c'était les séchoirs à tabac que Michel avait construit dans les années 70, parce qu'à l'époque il cultivait son tabac dans le champ d'Aliel, et donc il le faisait sécher dans la grande piscine.
Cannabis, encore.
Ça, il nous a pas dit ça.
Mais on a été vraiment, vraiment attachés à lui. Il était une partie de notre famille. On est très, très tristes cette semaine. Et donc, on va commencer la deuxième partie avec quelques minutes de pensée à lui. Quand notre ami Paul, il est aussi prêtre en Angleterre. Il est prêtre anglican et musicien aussi. On va juste jouer quelque chose, un petit
hymne funèbre en l'honneur de Michel.
Et après, on va continuer.
Really hope that you enjoyed that music, and in hearing the whole story of how it came to be that we had such beautiful music and such amazing musicians in our medieval barn. Now, the concert itself was extremely emotional for us. You will have seen that. What you probably didn't see was me sobbing in the background. But maybe it heightened the emotions, but the cold and the wild weather and the raw emotion of what had happened that week, it seemed to infuse the barn and the audience, and it was just an electric atmosphere, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever seen, and I'm a passionate music lover. The next day we had another concert. I think I mentioned that in one of the other videos, that because we were sold out, we decided to put another one on, but we hadn't advertised it. So it was only about 50 people in the audience. Still a pretty good result for only putting it on that week. But it was in the afternoon, which brought with it some interesting challenges, because we have a lot of animals and birds. And so not only were the cockerels crowing in interesting parts of the music, but during the Baroque section, I was sat at the back with Paul Barrett, our star violinist from the modern section. And he suddenly looked at me and he said, "I can hear a bell." And we looked around us, and our cat had started running through the concert hall. And me and him were at the back. And so there was this total comedy sketch going on where the musicians are playing beautiful music, the audience are watching them with rapt attention, and me and a violinist chasing a cat around in the background. And we finally managed to get him, took his collar off, and he sat down. And at that point he could wander around, but it was just this dingle, 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 dingle making its way in, and I could just hear it and couldn't locate him. Luckily everyone found this all very funny. And that was another beautiful concert, completely different atmosphere. But I think in that one, the incredible thing was that everyone was relaxed. Everyone had done the big performance. It had been pulled off. And so the second one, it had this beautiful air of peace about it. And after that concert, we could let our hair down. So we all had some glasses of champagne with the musicians, and they had prepared a very special treat. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the first musical of Rosieres, written by and performed by a group of very talented musicians.
that evening, after our second successful concert, we all got together and had a huge meal down in our coach house, full of laughter, wine, amazing food, and Clement playing the trumpet. We hope you've really enjoyed this series. I'm so happy to finally have been able to bring it to you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and soon you'll be able to see what happened next. If you want to hear more of the beautiful music from this concert, we'll be putting it on our Patreon very soon.